Today we're talking about the MySQL command line server, and probably most of you will be using PHP MySQL admin, which is a graphics Windows mouse oriented version. But I still find the command line version pretty useful, and it'll especially be useful in the course of talking about the MySQL connector/net to show things we've done, because it's a much simpler display. You don't have a lot of the confusion of multiple things in a GUI. The first thing you need to do in order to use this server is you have to have some version of WAMP or XAMPP or LAMP installed. And I talked about how to install this in the first MC03 tutorial. And the next thing that you need to do is to start the WAMP. And I started with this icon at the bottom, and you can tell it's running when you have a green icon here that says WAMP server online. And then the next thing you need to do is locate mysql.exe, which is the name of the MySQL command line server. And the simplest way to do this is probably go into Windows Explorer and select your C drive or wherever you've installed WAMP or whatever, and then go up to the search panel and type in mysql.exe, and then click on the magnifying glass to do a search to find it. It'll undoubtedly be in a different place from where mine is, since I downloaded mine quite a while ago. In order to bring up the DOS box itself, I usually just click on an icon I put on the taskbar. But if you haven't put one on there, I recommend you would, rather than go through a big hassle of locating it all the time. It's in the accessories, and under accessories and command prompt, and you can bring it up that way. But once you have a shortcut, of course, it's simpler just to click on the shortcut. And in my case, I put navigation files in a directory called etc., so that I can jump from place to place in the command line very quickly. Like if we go to ET, which is my navigation bat file for etc., and then we go dir, you'll see all my navigation files. And I'm pretty sure the navigation file for the bin file of MySQL is MSB5, because it's version 5. So if we do a type of msb5.bat, see, essentially all it is I have an @ echo off, which causes the command lines not to be echoed to the screen. Then I set the C colon as the disk, and then do a CD of this long name, and a CLS to clear everything off the screen. So if we actually type in MSB5, see, we'll go to this long name. And the way I created the bat file is, first of all, you got to make sure in your properties for your DOS box or command prompt that you have the option set of quick edit mode, which I'm pretty sure it isn't clicked by default. But once you have that, you can just click with the left mouse button and drag to highlight this whole line. And then in order to copy it to the clipboard, you press enter. And if you wanted to paste it back into the DOS box, you can just right click on the mouse and that'll put it back in. But in this case, we don't want to do that. In this case, what we want to do is put this on the system path for Windows. And this will allow us to execute the MySQL command line server from any directory location. And in order to find that environmental variable, go to Control Panel and then click on System, and then Advanced System Setting, and then you want to click on Environmental Variables and locate in this pane the path variable and click Edit. And then I usually put it at the beginning of the path, so it's the thing that's found first, although you might not want to do that if you want to make sure something else is found first. But I just click on the home button to go to the beginning of this, and then at this point I type in a semicolon and then do right click and paste, or you can do Control V to paste directly onto this line. And you can see I've already done that with this directory path. I put it right here. And then once it's there, you just click OK, and then OK again, and then a third OK. But in the old days, at this point, you'd have to reboot the computer in order for it to recognize the new directory path. But in the new operating system, it recognizes it right away. You can just go to any directory and type in MySQL, and you'll go to the command line server at this point. And then you invoke MySQL by just typing the name. Actually, if you want to use just the root and with no password, which isn't recommended, you can just type in MySQL. But the best way is to type in MySQL -u with your username, which in my case is Doug, and then -p the password, which I'm trying desperately to hide my password, although I'm not sure why, since I don't think I use it anywhere but my local computer, that exact password. So we bring up the DOS box, and whatever directory you want to start putting files in or whatever, you can just type MySQL -u Doug, and then -p the password, and that'll give you welcome to the MySQL monitor, commands end in semicolon or \G. I've actually never used \G, and so on and so forth. I guess Oracle owns MySQL these days. And then you can start typing in MySQL commands. There's a ton of MySQL commands, but some examples I have here are show database, use database name, show tables, describe table, which basically gives you the structure of the table, or select, which will select data from the table. These are essentially direct MySQL commands. You'll do select asterisk from table name, and so on, with some characteristics of the table, field equals whatever, and so on and so forth. They're just identical to regular SQL commands. So if we do a show database, and I always forget to put in the semicolon, so I get a new line, and then I put in the semicolon. It allows you to put in multiple line commands, and this shows you all the databases I have on my local host computer. And then we can select a database to use by using the use command. So I can say use GIL, for instance. And wow, that worked without typing the semicolon. And then I can do a show tables to show all the tables I have in this database. And it's say you want to see what the fields are and say the act. you can get the structure of the act table by saying describe act, and it'll show you the field names and the types of the fields and whether or not they can be null or not, and in this case added characteristic of auto increment, which basically means if you just add a name, this will automatically increment to the next value, which is excellent for a primary key, which, as you can see, this is a primary key. Well, in order to get out of the command line server, you type the exit, and that'll take you back to the DOS prompt of the DOS box or command prompt box. And in order to get out of the command prompt box, of course, you can either click the X in the corner, or you can type exit on this level and exit out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned a lot, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe.